Hey guys, come in and take a seat at the table. Join the Fat Kid, as we're going to hear for a new segment that we're going to start recording every week of the NFL season. My rapid, but not rapid, takes on what happened in the week that was with the National Football League. I say not rapid because it'll probably come up on Wednesday. We'll be getting ready for the Thursday night game of week number 2. So, that being said, we're going to talk about some things we liked today. Lamar Jackson's week 1 performance against the Miami Dolphins. Some things we didn't like. The lack of scoring in the Thursday night football game, like always. We'll talk about some other things we liked. Will Lutz kicking a bomb shot to win it in New Orleans last night. And we'll talk about Tom Brady being the fountain of youth. We'll talk about some teams we liked. We'll talk about some power rankings. We'll talk about some matchups in week 2. And I will give you my pick for who I think is going to win Thursday night football. But let's start with what I didn't like first in week number 1, and that was the Thursday night football game. I liked the 2 teams that participated in it. I did not like the actual game itself. Final score, Packers 10, Bears 3. Passing leader in the game was Mitchell Trubisky. He threw for 228 yards, 102 of them to Allen Robinson. This game was punt, 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 turnover, punt, punt, turnover, punt. I don't know if that means that both of these defenses are going to be really, really good this year, which if that's the case, that's very dangerous for Aaron Rodgers because he's really had a lot of great defenses in his time in Green Bay. So I'm a little like, okay, well maybe this is going to be a turning of the page here. Rodgers went 18 of 30 with 203 passing yards and a touchdown. Trubisky, 26 of 45 for 228 yards with an interception. A lot of talk going into this, and especially if you watched our fantasy football episode, some rookies that we liked. One of them was David Montgomery, the running back for the Chicago Bears. Only had 6 touches for 18 yards and a long run of 6 yards. They've got to get him involved. If they don't get him involved, you're going to have Mitchell Trubisky throw the ball 45 times a game. And 45 passes at 228 total passing yards is not going to get it done in the NFL. You've proved it now against Green Bay that their offense was not able to get the job done. There's a very, very, very good offense now in Minnesota that's got a good game plan. So does Chicago now fall to the 3rd best team in this division? I mean, I can see it. Their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. But if Trubisky and then absolutely David Montgomery don't get it together, this could be a team that, when we were talking about over-unders with Craig on a previous episode, we both liked this team a lot. This team could be very, very bad. So maybe Craig was right. Maybe this is a team that got overhyped, and the Super Bowl talk was a little early for the Chicago offense. The Chicago defense played out of their mind and kept Aaron Rodgers to 200 yards passing, kept Aaron Jones to 39 rushing yards. But this game was really punt, punt, and more punt. It's been that way for Thursday Night Football for a long time. I haven't loved the Thursday night games. Yes, it gives us football on another night that we can sit there, and now we have 3 full nights of NFL football. All day Sunday, Monday night games, and a Thursday night game. So it keeps us coming back for more. But sometimes, less is more. Maybe a Saturday night game would be better than a Thursday night game. I know it's going up against college, and you don't want to do that. But if you're willing to put this out there on a Thursday night, and put your guys getting hurt, it's not good. The games have not been good. The games have been terrible. I don't love the games. So Thursday Night Football, especially in the Week 1 variety, gets a giant thumbs down from the Fat Kid. Now, full slate of games on Sunday. Lots of interesting scores. Lots of very intriguing games. One of the games that I want to touch base on is the rapid comeback of the Buffalo Bills. Bills were down 16-0 in their game to the New York Football Jets. Rallied for 17 unanswered. All of them in the 4th quarter, or most of them in the 4th quarter. Stephen Hauschka kicked a 43-yarder at the end of the 3rd. A Josh Allen 3-yard touchdown run and then a 38-yard pass. Allen to look at me on John Brown. 38 yards. The setup, that was the winner. Stephen Hauschka's extra point made it 17-16. That was with 3 minutes left in the game. Jets go scoreless in the 4th quarter. I love Le'Veon Bell. Had a fairly good game. That was it. Sam Darnold didn't do anything to impress me. 28 of 41 for 175 yards and a touchdown from Darnold. Josh Allen with the big arm threw 2 picks, one of them getting returned for a touchdown. Le'Veon Bell, 17 carries, 60 yards in his first action in well over a year. John Brown, blowout game for the Bills. 7 catches, 123 yards, and a score for the former Raven. Big props to Brown. When you look at what I take away from this was supposed to be the Jets' year that they made a heavy push for the playoffs. They were going to be a team that could get dangerous. They're not dangerous if they can't score in the second half. Yes, they scored some points in the third quarter, but in a game where you had a team on the rope 16-0 and you could have stepped on their throat, they let off the gas, and it let the Bills back into this. So, props to the Bills for ripping off 17 unanswered, but real big blow to the Jets and their momentum and the team, people that wanted to believe in them, blowing this game. Other big takeaways from week number 1. Not a good week for the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield did throw for 285 yards. He also threw 3 or 4 passes to the team in the white uniform instead of the brown uniform. That, my friends, is a problem. Derrick Henry had 84 yards. He also had a 75-yard touchdown catch. 43-13 Titans. There is probably not a soul in America that had the Titans winning this game, myself included. It was one of the 2 games that I got wrong in my pick'ems for the week of number 1. Tennessee played really well. Played really well defensively. Kept Baker on his toes. He looked, I don't know if he looked hurt or I don't know what it was, but there were points in that game where he looked lost. Throwing the ball 7 yards behind Odell Beckham and gets picked off. There just was not a lot of real game flow for the Cleveland Browns. That's something that they're going to have to pick up on. So, thumbs down on the Cleveland Browns for week 1. Thumbs up, Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in a 59-10 blowout victory over the worthless Miami Dolphins. Yes, I'm in South Florida. Yes, they're worthless. I don't care. Dislike this video all you want. That organization and that team is hot garbage. Lamar Jackson, 324 yards. He threw 5 touchdowns, I believe. Double check that stat line real quick. 5 touchdowns. That's pretty good. 2 of them to the rookie Marquise Brown, someone that I mentioned in the sleeper portion of our episode with Craig that I thought could be a really big piece for them. Marquise Brown, 147 receiving yards. Mark Ingram broke the 100-yard mark on the ground. Not a lot more you could say about this from the Baltimore standpoint, except congratulations to Robert Griffin III and his wife as they welcomed another child into this world, another daughter, on Saturday. Robert Griffin III came in after the 5 touchdowns from Lamar Jackson, threw a touchdown, and if you saw the post on Instagram, he actually was playing with his wife's hospital bracelet on. So congratulations to Robert and his family. Dolphins, half their team asked for a trade at halftime, the other half asked for it after the game. But here's the thing, guys. You're part of that team that just let another team score 59 points. There's probably not a team in football that wants any of the guys that are requesting a trade right now. Does anyone want Josh Rosen? Does anyone want Ryan Fitzpatrick? Does anyone want Kenyon Drake? I don't think so. It's going to be a long year in Miami. Just hope that those draft picks they got for Laramie Tunsil and all of that can bring some kind of stability to this team moving forward. Because if not, we're in for a long run of misery in South Florida. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Seattle Seahawks. That was a fun one. It was one that, in our video, Craig told me that we were going to get our doors blown off, and I kind of thought we were going to get our doors blown off. But Zach Taylor led this Bengals team into Seattle and did not disappoint. Final score, Seahawks 21, Bengals 20. Jackson is very excited about this right now. I love what the Bengals did defensively. They wrapped up, made the sure tackle, had a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson, made him make decisions very quickly, did not give him time to scramble and make plays with his feet, something he does very, very well. I love what the Bengals did defensively. Offensively, Andy Dalton, 418 passing yards, 158 of them to a guy who I thought could be a contender for Sleeper of the Year in fantasy football. That is John Ross. Ross had 2 touchdowns in that game. Big night for him. Very impressive with the Bengals. I didn't expect them to win this game. I'm very happy that they kept this game competitive. A missed Randy Bullock field goal and a really bad fumble call on the last drive of the game are 2 big points that I think the Bengals can hang their hat on, and knowing that they had the Seattle team on the ropes. And they had this Seattle team with their backs against the wall, and I think this Bengals team can take this defense anywhere and be very competitive. Do I think they're going to win that division? No, I do not. But I think that they're a team that now a lot of teams are going to have to respect, especially with that defense. A little earlier in the day, some bad news happened, and it's probably going to end the Jacksonville Jaguars season before it started. Nick Foles is probably going to go on injury reserve, has a broken left collarbone. He had surgery on it yesterday or today. My guess is he's going to get injury reserved and then with the destination to return eventually. But that's going to be bad news for the Jaguars. It was not good for them after he left the game. They fall 40-26 to the Kansas City Chiefs. They also had some bad news. Tyreek Hill going to be out a couple weeks. But the emergence, or the re-emergence, I guess, of Sammy Watkins came out big, especially in the fantasy perspective. 198 receiving yards of Patrick Mahomes' 378 passing yards. Mahomes tried that no-look pass, and he threw it 17 feet over the wide-open Travis Kelce's head. Stare at the receiver. Hit him. Put points on board. I don't know what this no-look pass is going to do. It's inevitably going to get him hurt. It's inevitably going to get that team hurt. It's inevitably going to be a thing that may cost them later on down the road. But two teams now with injury problems. Jacksonville goes back to the drawing board with no Nick Foles, and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to figure out who's going to be the number 2 receiver now that Sammy Watkins is going to have to be the number 1. So that was a big takeaway for me. A tie in week 1. The Detroit Lions and the Arizona Cardinals, they tie at 27. Big second half for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Matt Stafford led the way in passing with 385 yards. 131 of them to rookie T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end, had a good game for the Lions. Other big rapid takeaways. New England hangs 33 on Pittsburgh in their first game without Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown as active members of their roster. Pittsburgh can only muster a red zone field goal. Final score, Patriots 33, Pittsburgh 3. Their defense played out of their mind. And by the way, guys, Antonio Brown could not play in this game due to signing after the period was over. But hey, by the way, they get to add him to their offense this week. Life is going to be very, very painful for anyone that's playing the New England Patriots in the next couple weeks. That's a rapid takeaway there. The Monday night games were very, very entertaining. Both games were really fun to watch. New Orleans 30, Houston 28. A 57-yarder, I believe, from Will Lutz wins the game as regulation expires for New Orleans right after Deshaun Watson goes right down the field and gives Houston the lead. That could be a Super Bowl preview if Tom Brady gets hurt, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And in the nightcap, Joe Cool's catering service, the Denver Broncos go into Oakland, are unable to get the win in the final home opener for the Oakland Raiders as a member of the Oakland. Jackson wants me to play PlayStation, but I gotta finish recording. Sorry, buddy. We'll play in a few minutes. Joe Cool's catering service, they were unable to beat Oakland in their final home opener in Oakland before the move to Las Vegas. Flacco threw for 268 yards. Josh Jacobs had 85 rushing yards and 2 scores for the Raiders. Courtland Sutton had 120 of Joe Flacco's receiving yards. So, very, very, very fun things that happened in Week 1. We'll run through the scores real quick. Like I said, 10-3 Green Bay over Chicago, 43-13 Titans over the Browns, 59-10 Ravens over Dolphins, 28-12 final score in Minnesota. A very vanilla offense, but a very good offense for Minnesota. A couple Dalvin Cook touchdown runs, and Adam Thielen score. Kirk Cousins rushes one in. This Minnesota team, if that defense plays as well as they did against Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Austin Hooper, and Calvin Ridley, they can be very, very dangerous, just like the other two defenses that we talked about on the Thursday night game. Bills over Jets 17-16. Philly escapes against Washington 32-27. Washington was up in that game 17-0. Philly found a way to get it done and held on late. 30-27 for the defending NFC champion Los Angeles Rams. They beat the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be the Christian McCaffrey show in Carolina. I think we figured that out. 128 rushing yards, 81 receiving yards for McCaffrey. Led the game in both statistical categories for both teams. 40-26 Chiefs over Jaguars. The final in Los Angeles now. Chargers 30, Indianapolis 24 in overtime. That was a fun game to watch if you were watching it. 21-20 Seattle over Bengals. 35-17 Dallas over the Giants. No, I'm not impressed with Dak Prescott. Everybody else seems to be. He did his job against a really, really, really bad Giants team. So I don't think this makes him deserve his extension any more than I think he didn't deserve it in the first place. Arizona and Detroit tied at 27. Niners 31. Buccaneers 17. There was no good in that game. The fact that Jameis Winston led that game with 194 passing yards means Jimmy Garoppolo was terrible. The Sunday night game, the 33-3 final between New England and Pittsburgh, and then the two nightcaps on Monday night: Saints 30, Texans 28, Raiders 24, Denver 16. That is week 1 of the National Football League. There's going to be some things that have to change. There's going to have to be some things for teams to get themselves on the right path. Jacksonville, what do they do now that Nick Foles is gone for an extended period of time? What do the Chiefs do now that Tyreek Hill is banged up? And does this mean that Travis Kelce is going to have to be relied on more? That's all questions that we're going to have to see how they play out. The Thursday night game for this week, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina gave the defending NFC champion all they could handle on Sunday. Tampa looked terrible against Jimmy Garoppolo, even though Garoppolo played terrible. For the record, I'm going to take Carolina to win this game. I don't know what the line is offhand, but give me the Panthers to beat the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. Other key matchups that I'm going to discuss later this week, it'll get posted on Saturday. It will be San Francisco at Cincinnati, the Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New Orleans Saints at the Los Angeles Rams, the Sunday night game between Philadelphia and Atlanta, and the Monday night game between two teams that disappointed in Week 1, the Cleveland Browns and the New York Football Jets. So, that is rapid takes of Week 1 of the National Football League. I will be back later this week with Mount Rushmore of the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals / Montreal Expos. That's going to be a fun one. And I will hit you with this breaking news. We have our first member of 2 Mount Rushmores. So find out who that is on that episode. Nationals / Expos and Orioles coming up later this week. We'll also talk the wrap-up of AEW, what the TV show is to expect, and we'll talk a little bit about Clash of Champions this Sunday for the WWE pay-per-view. But that is the NFL rapid takes for week number 1. So until the Mount Rushmore episodes, I am Fat Kid Certified. I am Mike Bernier. Follow me on Instagram at fatkidcertifiedse. Follow me on Twitter at TheyCallMeBurn. Like, subscribe, keep watching. Tell me what I'd like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you agree with. Tell me what you don't disagree with.